What's going on, y'all? What's the word? What's the vibe, man? It's your boy Key, aka the low key entrepreneur, aka Moneybag Key. Just wanted to come on here and talk about my story. I'm with my mom. Got her here.
Hi, I'm Kendria Stewart, Keontae's mother, also Apostle Kendria Stewart, as well as the millionaire business builder.
Alright, so yeah, I do want to go over my story. I know I might have mentioned it in passing a few times in my other videos, but this is like a full introduction of our life, what happened to me, and how I still don't let it stop me. So, about back in 2015, November 30th, I was actually a victim of a crime, and I call myself a victim, but sometimes I might not have been necessarily a victim, but at that moment I was. Everyone has their own past. Everyone has their situations that they do when you're younger, but you have to grow and you have to develop as a man, as a woman, and make changes. So that's what I did. But back to the story. Back in 2015, I was actually in the car with some friends doing some things I kind of wasn't supposed to be doing, but nothing too bad. But the people who pulled up on us was actually trying to rob us. I guess the girl had actually kind of like set the plane and caused these two or three boys to try to rob us at gunpoint. When they tried to rob us at gunpoint, I guess the guy's gun jammed, and then he ran back to the car. And then when the guy seen the guy running from the car, he immediately started shooting. So whoever was in the car immediately started shooting. And it's funny because I actually knew the person when it come to find out who actually shot me, I actually knew who it was. Because when I was away in juvenile, I actually gave this guy his first haircut, which is kind of crazy. I gave this guy his first haircut. The guy never had a haircut ever in his life. He was a mixed kid. He was kind of scraggly looking. He never had a haircut in his whole life. He had a big old afro. And I gave this guy his first haircut and kind of find out he was the one who actually shot me. But I still don't let that kind of stuff stop me. I still don't let that kind of stuff stop me. I think about it from time to time, but as we go down, I kind of forgive them. Like I'm still working on that because it was a big issue.
Yeah.
But I kind of do forgive him. But you know what I mean? It is what it is at this point. But that's what happened to me. Now, after my injury, I got shot. Well, after when I got shot, I was actually, the people I was in the car with drove around the corner, and one of the guys I was in the car with pulled up to his auntie or his sister's house, I can't remember, and one of those people actually knew CPR, and when I got shot, I was like completely out of it. I was in the daze. I had no idea like what happened after that. Only thing I know is based on what people told me, and then later on down the line, it kind of started to like click, because like when you have trauma injuries, you like sometimes the whole day, sometimes with some people, the whole month might be missing, but with me, the whole day is kind of missing. But then once people put the pieces back together, I kind of remember. So when she came out, she gave me CPR. They called 911. And I was able to get into Mercy, but then Mercy don't deal with trauma. Mom, did I go to Mercy or did I go straight to?
So you went to Mercy Hospital first, and that's when they life flighted you to the other hospital because they had a trauma unit.
See, once I went to Mercy, they cannot take care of me because they don't deal with trauma victims. So once they life flighted me to Metro Health, that's where they were actually able to stabilize me, actually able to get me into surgery. But the surgery process was a whole another process that my mom will have to tell you about, because I cannot, I don't know much about that part, just based upon what she told me and it's kind of like a big story. So go ahead, man.
All right. So I want to share my part of the story, starting with when I'm going to start before I got the phone call. And so Keontae was into some things that I totally did not agree with. And so on this particular day, he was moving out into his own place. We agreed that would be best. He was 18 years old at the time. And so I just remember looking at him, and before he left out the house and wanting to say as a mother, stay home. But something in me would not allow me to say that. And so he left the house. And on this particular day, I had worked for an insurance company for about 15 years. And I decided to go back to my job and turn in some of my equipment. And on the way there, I remember specifically praying for my son's life. Anybody that knows me know that I'm a prayer warrior. And so sometimes people don't like to pray with me because I may pray too long. But the prayer was so specific because God laid it on my heart just to intercede for his life. And so that's what I did. I prayed, I interceded for his life, not knowing at the time that I was praying and interceding for his specific life that he was being shot. I had no idea. And so as I'm driving on the highway, I get a call when I finish praying, and it's our neighbor, which was his friend. And she said Keontae had been shot. And I'm like, wait a minute. Well, I screamed, and she said it was the worst phone call that she had ever had to make. And so I asked her where he was. She said she didn't know. She thinks he's at the hospital, but she doesn't know what hospital. So I got off the phone with her, and I got off the highway, got myself together. I screamed, I cried, and I talked to God because he is everything to me. And so I called the hospital, and the first hospital that I called was the actual hospital where he was, which was Mercy. And thank God for his mercy. And so I spoke with some people who put me on the phone with a police officer or a detective. And I'm asking about my son, and the detective is asking me, how did I know about his situation? How did I know about his condition? How did I know that he was shot? Now, me as a mother, I'm concerned about my son's well-being. So answering all of these questions was a little frustrating for me. And so I'm asking the officer, could you please let me speak to my son? And he said, well, you can't talk to him right now. He's about to be life flighted to Cleveland into Metro Hospital. So that's when I realized, okay, it's serious, because his friend didn't know how serious it was. She just knew that he had been shot. And so they asked me questions. They said that they found him in a car by himself. And that's the reason why they were asking me questions. How did I know if he was left in a car pretty much for dead? So I gave them just a little bit of information that I had. I had really no information except that he was shot. And so I got off the phone with them. I went right back into prayer, and I headed to the hospital. Now, the beautiful thing about this is we relocated to a whole different county. I hadn't been back to Cuyahoga County in probably months. And this was a particular day that the Lord laid it on my heart to go to Cuyahoga County. And so I'm right at the right place where I need to be, because I'm literally less than 5 minutes away from the hospital in Cleveland. I would have been in a whole different county had I stayed home. He was being life flighted to the county of where I was. When I made it to that hospital, he had arrived 1 minute before I got there. This is why I say, if you don't believe in God, I know this is not about God, but my life is all about God. I hope and pray that he will get glory out of this video, and that people will understand that when they look at my son, they're looking at a miracle, because he is a miracle. He should not be here. Let me speed up real quick. When the doctor showed me his x-ray, the bullet stopped right before his main artery. And the doctor showed it to me. He said, there is somebody looking out for him. Now I'm going to back up again. I go into the hospital. They tell me he just arrived a minute before I arrived, and I'm going to speed it up. I go into, they get him a room. I couldn't see him right away. Now family and friends is coming because they heard about it. And we get the opportunity to see him. And of course, he's all tatted up, and it was just a horrible experience to see your child in the state that he was in. But there was a tattoo. You got a cross on there? So it was shining.
Yeah, there's a cross right in the middle of my chest.
Yeah, it was like his tattoo was shining. It was like God just allowed it to shine and to give me hope that this was not it for my son. And so I honed in on that. And let me go back. When I met with the doctors said, we do not take bullets out. And I knew that to be true because this same thing similar had just happened to my cousin within the same month, the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
And they did not remove the bullet. And they said, so that's not something we can do. And we don't even know if he's going to make it the first 48 hours. So we need to see. Listen here. I went right downstairs to the chapel and I gave God his word back. I began to pray and give God his word back of what he told me about my son. And some of my church members at that time came downstairs. I prayed for every physician, every nurse, every person that would come in contact with my son. And when one of my church members came down, I was praying, and then she got the phone call that the doctors wanted to talk to me again. I went upstairs to talk to the doctors, and they said, we don't ordinarily do this, but we're going to go ahead and perform surgery and take the bullet out. Now, I knew that to be a miracle because they just had told me they don't remove bullets. And I know that was true because they didn't remove my family members. And so they said, but this surgery is extremely complex and we don't know if it's going to change his situation, but it will relieve some of the pressure. So I said, okay, I already prayed for them. I pray for every physician, any person that would come in contact with them. I asked God to use them as his instruments. And so they took him in. That's when we got to see him. That's when that cross, that tattoo, God can use anything. I know people like, I know what the word of God says, but he used that tattoo to give me some hope. He shined the light, his light on that tattoo. And so it was such a blessing to me. So when they took him back to do that surgery, that was supposed to be about 6 hours. That surgery was cut in half. They came out when they were almost done smiling, saying that they're almost done. They're just kind of finishing everything up. And it was much easier than what they thought. Why? Because prayer went forth. That's why. When people, I'm telling you, when I was praying for him, and let me speed it up. I was praying for him. I found out I was praying for him at the same time he was shot. The reason why I found out is because I listened to the 911 tape. I remember looking at my time on my truck when I was driving to Cleveland. And that same time is the same time that the girls called 911 to report that he had been shot. That thing just blessed my entire soul, because what if I wasn't obedient to God? Would he still be here? You know, God's power, the power of prayer can go places that we may never be able to go. And so I'm just so grateful for that. And when I listened to that 911 tape, when they pulled him out of the car and they tried to give him CPR because he had no pulse, he was not breathing at all. It was over. And so they thought, thank God for the power of prayer. So they did give him CPR. Everything came back instantly like that. And I believe it's because of the power of prayer. So I'm grateful that he's here. I thank God for what he's doing now. Every gift that God gave him, now he's using it for good. I'm grateful for the people that he has helped. You know, even in this situation, I'm grateful for the people who call him to get inspiration They call him when they're low, having a bad day so that they can be empowered. And he probably don't even know it. And so, we talk about no excuses. When I see him every day in this state and how hard he works, listen, there is truly no excuses. Whatever you want, you could truly have. You just got to do the work and have faith. Faith without works is dead. And so that's my testimony. And this is my firstborn. And I'm really extremely grateful for all that God is doing in his life. And just for him being here today, this huge blessing for me.
Yep. And so after all that, the whole situation, me being injured, me being shot, all that, the reason why I got into credit is, ironically, they put all those hospital bills.
Oh yeah.
They put the life flighting. They put the life flighting bill, which was $17,000. All those hospital bills on my credit report. So once I finally got active, I finally got into learning about different things. Because when I first came home, I was kind of just chilling. I was watching TV shows. I was watching Power 24/7. But then I kind of got into learning Spanish. But then I ended up getting back into shoes. So once I was trying to get back into shoes, I needed some credit cards so that I could flip shoes. I can get back to doing what I did before I got shot. The good parts of before I got shot, because I never went back, and I never will go back to all that other crazy stuff that I was into before I got shot. That's the reason why I'm in this situation. But I still got my gifts of everything that I was doing before, because I had a lot of talents. I had a lot of gifts. You know what I mean? I just used them for wrong, and now I'm using them for good. So once they put that stuff on my credit, I kind of started doing research on how to get this stuff removed, because I'm applying for credit cards. They're denying me. They're denying me for a little old Capital One credit card. They, like most people, they'll approve them and give them $500. They wouldn't even give me that. So I had to, learn. I had to lock in and learn how to get that stuff off my credit. My mom helped me. She gave me some pointers on what she knew how to do. She told me I got a dispute. And then I went to, and then once I heard the word dispute, I took it right to YouTube University, and I just locked in and learned. And then now and now we fast forward. Now I pay for mentorships. We gotta invest in ourselves. Yes, you can learn a lot of stuff on YouTube, but it's all out of order. Everything is not structured properly. You gotta go searching for everything. But that's why we have mentorships. That's why we pay people to help us with our process. Because they've been through these things before. They've been through what you're trying to achieve. So I was able to get my credit fixed. I was able to start businesses. I was able to start flipping shoes. I was able to grow credit limits all the way from $500 all the way now to over $300,000 worth of credit. This is all with me being in this state. So like I said, there's no excuse. Anyone can get access to credit. You gotta just have the right mindset and be responsible, because anyone can also mess up credit. You know what I mean? And you can also get this money, jack it off, or you can learn how to do this stuff and start doing it for wrong. It's a lot of people out there, they know about this stuff, but they're too lazy, so they decide to go scam banks and do bad checks and all that stuff. That stuff is still going to end you in a similar situation to what happened to me, or sometimes worse, because if you scam the wrong person, you could be in for a rude awakening. So that's all I need to say, man. That's all I gotta say. I just wanted to come in here and give my story, give my testimony. I appreciate my mom. I appreciate Timmy Rich over here, man. My boy, it's that season. Mr. It's that season. Mr. It's that season, man. But Yeah, with all that being said, man, y'all stay safe, y'all stay blessed, and thanks for watching. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Where can people find and follow you too?
Oh yeah, y'all can find me on IG at lowkey_ENTPR and on YouTube at lowkey entrepreneur. I'm on Facebook at Keontae King Whitlow and TikTok lowkey_ENTPR. I also do business funding, so that's mainly what I focus on. If you're looking for a free ebook on how to make illegal money from the banks, but this is free money, not just legal money. Banks are paying people to get access to. Banks are paying people to open up new accounts. Banks are paying people to use their credit cards. So I made a full ebook on how to structure all that, how to get free money from the bank. So you guys can text the word MS to 440-597-5055.